Hi there, guys. I thought we'd do something about Easter that had just a little bit of fun stuff in it and things like we do in class at the beginning of class lots of times. But anyway, I was looking through in a lesson I was supposed to teach for Olympians, and I found 5 true or false questions that I thought were really interesting. Let's see how you do. Keep score, and when we get back together in a couple weeks, let me know how many you got right. The first one says, a caterpillar has more muscles than a human. What do you think about that? A caterpillar, climbing, has more muscles than a human. Believe it or not, that's true. Number 2, your eyes get bigger as you get bigger and grow. What do you think about that? You think your eyes change as you get bigger? Guess what? That's false. Your eyes remain the same size from the time you're born. I was surprised at that. Your ears and your nose don't ever stop growing, though. So as you get older, they just grow slower, or you'd have a nose that's really long, wouldn't you? Number 3, there's more plant life on land than in the water. So there's more plants on land than there are in the water. That one will make you think. That's false. 85% of all plant life is in the ocean. Remember things like plankton and plants of that type that actually animals eat? And it says there's more plant life in the ocean than there is on the earth. Our God is amazing, isn't he? Number 4, a crocodile cannot stick its tongue out. True or false? What do you think? That's true. A crocodile can't stick its tongue out. Don't get your hand in its teeth, though. Number 5, you can buy eel, E-E-L, eel-flavored ice cream in certain parts of Japan. Boy, I like ice cream, but I don't know if I'm ready for eel-flavored ice cream. And eel is a little squishy sea creature. And the answer to that is true. They eat lots of fish and things out of the ocean because Japan is an island. And they evidently like eel-flavored ice cream. I'm not sure I'm ready to try that one. Now, I wanted to read you a story, and I want to show you the pictures here first so you kind of know out of our book. There's the first picture. Here's the second picture. You can see they have a tree house, and it's all fixed up like a Viking ship. That's what this is about. This is about the Vikings, and it's a good story, but it also has a lot of truth in it. And if you look at this, it shows a picture of the treehouse and the Viking ship and the kids and the ladder climbing up. And, when we were kids, my brother made a treehouse platform. We actually had a double-story treehouse in a tree that he and my cousins built. So you can turn those imaginary treehouse programs into anything you want. That's the nice thing. It can be a ship one day. It can be a school the next day. My brother and his buddies used to use it to camp out in on summer days and stuff. So lots of great things if you're able to do that. But anyway, this is a pretty good story. I think you'll like it. And it talks about the Viking mystery. Let me hold that up so you see the name there. The Viking mystery. All right, listen up. Kennedy spread out her school project on the dining room table. She had made a map, a shield, a ship, and what looked like a wooden sword with a pointy end. Well, a pointy end, I guess, would be better. What's your project about? Braden asked his sister. I'm doing a report on Vikings, Kennedy said. Braden had seen pictures of Vikings before. They dressed in fur clothes and they wore funny hats and they carried swords and shields. What exactly did the Vikings do? Braden asked. They were sailors and explorers, Kennedy explained. They sailed all around the world, discovered new places, raided villages, and created settlements in different countries. She pointed at a big island on the map, like Greenland, for example. All the places mostly were cold. I love exploring, Brayden said. He pointed at the weird wooden sword. Can I borrow that to play Vikings with my friends? Well, as long as you're careful, I guess, Kennedy said. But that is the most important part of my project. Brayden stood at the ladder to the treehouse with his friends. He told them everything Kennedy had told him about the Vikings. Everybody had made their own swords and were ready to play pretend. Fellow Vikings, we are about to sail across the sea to Greenland, Brayden said, raising the wooden sword as high as he could into the air. We will explore. We will make a new home and fight anyone who gets in our way, Aaron declared. We're not going to fight anybody, Brayden said. Then why do we have swords? Elsie asked. In case we run into polar bears, Brayden said. Or wolves, Jonah added. But you said the sword was the most important part about the Vikings. That means they must have fought a lot of people or they wouldn't have the swords. Well, they were fierce warriors, Brayden said. Now, everyone climb on board the ship. They climbed into the treehouse, which had become a big ship in the sea. No wonder Vikings wore fur coats, Elsie said, pretending to shiver. It's pretty cold out here on the ocean. Pirates! Aaron shouted, pointing off to one side. Aaron, there aren't any pirates, Brayden said. Then who are we going to fight? Aaron asked. We aren't going to fight anyone, Brayden said. But that's the best thing about Vikings, Aaron argued. There's swords, there's shields, and there's awesome helmets. Mine has 3 horns on it. Mine just has 1, Elsie said with a grin. It's a narwhal tusk. Brayden stared at Aaron. Can we just pretend to explore? Aaron shrugged. Fine, but when we land, I want to fight something. Look, there's land ahead. We made it, Jonah called. Aaron raised his voice. Charge! He started down the ladder and Jonah followed. Elsie shrugged. Are you coming? She asked Brayden. We can explore while we conquer. While his 3 friends swung their swords at imaginary enemies. Brayden sat down and frowned. Hey, Brayden, Kennedy called from the bottom of the ladder. Are you done with my cross? Cross? Brayden asked. Yeah, my Viking project cross, Kennedy said. Brayden looked at the 2 pieces of wood he had in his hands. He turned it around and held it up. I thought it was a sword, Brayden said. No, it's a cross. My project focuses on how the Vikings spread their belief in Christianity, Kennedy said. I thought they were warriors, Brayden said. Some of them plundered and took people prisoners, but others took the gospel to new places, Kennedy explained. They even built some of the very first churches. Really? Brayden asked. Really? Kennedy said. Can I show my friends the cross before I give it back? Brayden asked. Sure, Kennedy said. The 2 walked over to where Aaron, Jonah, and Elsie were still pretending they were fighting at war. Hello, fellow Vikings, Brayden said. I just learned something. This isn't a sword. It's a cross. A cross? Why would the Vikings have a cross? Aaron asked. One of the most famous Vikings was a guy named Leif Erikson, Kennedy said. He believed in Jesus. His king sent him to Greenland to tell the Vikings who lived in Greenland about Jesus. Whoa, Aaron said. Vikings? There were some Vikings that were missionaries? That is so cool. I don't want to be a mean Viking, Jonah said. I want to be a Viking missionary. Let's look for new villages where they haven't heard about Jesus, Brayden said. Yeah, Aaron shouted. Brayden handed Kennedy the cross. Wait a minute, guys, he said. First, I need to make a new sort. Well, I mean, make a new cross. Isn't that interesting about the Vikings? Leif Erikson was very much a real person. And evidently he was a Christian, and God used him in his explorations as a missionary. Actually, there are some people that believe that Vikings actually found North America before Christopher Columbus did. Now, that's not for sure, but they do have some things that indicate boats that landed, that type of thing, that look like Viking boats. So that's an interesting piece of real history. All right, I also wanted to share with you one of our animal stories here, if I can find my page. Since it's Easter time, they have in some of the magazines stories about rabbits. And of course, we know rabbits don't really have anything to do with Easter, but they are fun to study. And I used to have pet rabbits, and I know Jeremy and James have some pet rabbits, and maybe some of the rest of you do for 4-H projects or just for fun. But anyway, this thing is called hoppin' hares. Now notice it says hares, Hares, which is a kind of another word for rabbit, but it's a kind of a different kind of rabbit. Actually, if you look at it, look at its feet particularly. It's got really, really big back feet. That's one of the differences between a hare and a rabbit. Let me show you some more of the differences, because these are really good. God is so creative when he makes things. And see, this is our type of bunny, but these are what they really call hares. And you can really tell the difference in them because, see, they have these huge feet, very powerful. They have these big ears compared to a rabbit. And, of course, overall, they're a whole lot bigger, too. It says hares are bigger than rabbits. They have larger hind legs and feet, and hares also have longer ears. The other thing when you come around you might expect, hares can run a lot faster than our rabbits because they have the powerful legs and because they're bigger. But I thought this was interesting about the babies. Let me put that up closer. And you can see here newborn baby rabbits are helpless, and they are called kittens. So if you ever have any rabbits and you get baby bunnies, they aren't born just with big fur and everything's all together right to start with. It takes time for them to develop. Now a hare on the other side is born with fur, and usually baby hares can live by themselves without their parents very quickly, unlike baby bunnies. But they're both cute, aren't they? I'll give you one. Let me throw in a bunny joke here. Why do bunnies never need glasses? Because they eat a lot of carrots, and carrots are good for your eyes. Why are mountains funny? Because they're hilarious. Which star is part of a family? The sun. Did you realize the sun is really a star? Stars are burning pieces of mass in the sky, and they give off rays. What did the power pole say when it got excited? I'm ecstatic. Why did the chef throw the butter out the window? He wanted to see butterfly. That's an old one. We had that joke when I was a kid, and that's a long time ago. What do you call a funny flower? A silly lily. What did the golfer wear two pairs? Nope, I said that wrong. Why did the golfer wear 2 pairs of pants? In case he got a hole in one. And here's the last one. What's a cow's favorite sport? Bowling. Some pretty cute jokes. I want to give you a little bit of a commercial right now, something good your family could do, especially in the summertime or on vacation. This is a picture of 2 new giraffes. Now, these are cartoon giraffes, and you notice the one with the nice blue glasses, that's Junior, and this is his little sister. Her name is Gracie. And you can see they're sitting in front of the nose of a big wooden ship. And of course, you know what that is. That's Noah's Ark. And if you go down in Ohio on the border over to Kentucky, down by Cincinnati, you'll find out that the Noah's Ark Creation Museum is down there, and it is a life-size replica of the ark that God had Noah build in the Bible. And this is a magazine I get from them, and I wanted to read you just a little bit of the story of the background, and then I'll show you another picture. It said, giraffe faintings are reported in Kentucky. It all began on one day in the home of George and Gloria and their kids, Junior and Gracie. Junior was reading about a large Noah's Ark attraction in Kentucky. He was trying to convince his dad, George, to take them to see it. George didn't see the point. After all, he pointed to a picture on the wall that showed his great-granddaddy not being able to fit into a small, crowded boat. In fact, you could see great-granddaddy and great-grandmommy sticking their long necks out past the top of this bathtub-sized ark. Junior was persistent, though, for two main reasons. First, the article he was reading said that this ark is life-size, bigger than a football field. And secondly, Junior found out that kids 10 years old and under are free this year, all of 2020. George responded with a skeptical question. He said, "For real? Free?" Junior was so insistent that finally his dad agreed to go. So George, Gloria, Junior, and Gracie, and here they are. Here we've got all the giraffes. They decided they were going to go and visit Kentucky and see the ark. They arrived and walked past some of the gardens at the ark as George was mumbling, "It can't be that big. It just can't be that big." And then they saw the enormous wooden ship. It was so big that when George saw it, he fainted. This is George. He fainted right there. Junior excitedly said, "Told you, Dad. You just got to think bigger, that's all." Well, you are going to see George, Gloria, Junior, and Gracie. I know you will fall in love with them. They are giraffes. And really, if you ask the people around the world what animals they most associate with Noah's Ark, it usually is a giraffe. That's because the common representation, and you've seen the toy, it's shaped like a bathtub and it has giraffes with their heads sticking out the roof. If you go to see the real ark, though, you'll find that's not true because the real ark is huge. As some of you kids like to say, it is ginormous. And it's just bigger than you can imagine. So if your family gets a chance to go to the Creation Museum or the Ark or both, this is a great year to go because if you're 10 or under, you get in free. And that is quite a savings at the Ark.